Hi guys, Alina Shaltsova, immigration attorney from New York is here. We're going to have our YouTube live today where I'm going to share with you the most interesting immigration news. Of course, we're going to talk about DV Lottery 2023. Should you play or not? What to watch out for? What to do if you're here? For example, you have asylum pending situation, if you should play. We're going to talk about, of course, green card medical exam. We received some clarifications about it from USCIS. And I'm going to also talk a little bit to you about the removal, new enforcement priorities and removal. So just to clarify certain things. Thank you very much for joining. Say hello, tell me where you're watching from, prepare your questions. I'll be happy to answer them in the end. So let's start. Well, first of all, I wanted to tell you that DV Lottery 2023 is on. The opening period was started on October 6th, and you have until November 9th to make your entry if you wish to play. Should you play? We're going to talk about this. Now, remember, it's free to play in DV Lottery. All you need to make sure is that you're from one of the countries that may play for 2023 and you have either high school diploma or equivalent or 2 years of work experience in an occupation that requires at least 2 years of training or work experience, right? So very simple requirements. You don't need to have tons of money. You don't need to have a sponsor. You don't need to have anybody, just yourself, your education, and a country. Which countries are disqualified? If you're one of these countries, if you're national of one of those countries, and you do not qualify for an exception, you cannot charge yourself to a different country, you will not be able to play. Bangladesh, Brazil, Canada, China, Colombia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Haiti, Honduras, India, Jamaica, Mexico, Nigeria, Pakistan, the Philippines, South Korea, United Kingdom, except for Northern Ireland. Nationals of those countries cannot play for 2023. Cannot. Unless, and we're going to talk about unless you are married and your spouse is from one of the eligible countries, then you guys can still play. Or, and I'm going to read from the rules, you may also use the country of birth of either of your parents if you were born in a country in which neither parent was born and in which your parents were not resident at the time of your birth. For example, your parents were visiting country that is ineligible now. They were visiting Pakistan. You were born in Pakistan, but at the time, the parents were not residing there. However, one of your parents is born in Russia. Now you can use Russia to qualify for DV Lottery instead of Pakistan. A little bit confusing, but if you read it slowly, you will get it. It took me a while to get it, I'll be honest. All right, so what to watch out for when you file your entry? Make sure you provide very accurate information and you list all of your children, including stepchildren, guys, and children that you're no longer living with, including stepchildren. For example, you married somebody who already had children. You lived with them for a while. You had those stepchildren. It's yours. And now you guys are no longer together. You must list those children if they're under 21 and not married. Very, very important. If you don't list them, of course, you will be disqualified for an immigrant visa. So don't make this mistake. Make sure you use a fresh photo. Very important. I keep saying it from year to year. Still see those mistakes. People are using third parties to submit DV Lottery entries, and those third parties are using old pictures. US government finds out the pictures were old, you get disqualified. Don't want to be in this silly situation, right? No need to be in that silly situation. A passport, that's another very common issue. You must have a passport to play in DV Lottery, unless you are a stateless person with no state, or you are from a country that communist control, or you received a waiver from the Department of State, which is very rare. Hence, the rule of thumb, you're supposed to have your passport to qualify for DV lottery. What will it give you if you win? Well, obviously, if you're outside of the United States, you will be able, hopefully, should be able to come to the United States together with your family members, children under 21, and your spouse. If you're inside of the United States, can you use DV lottery? Yes, you can in certain situations. For example, you're here in H1B, L1, E2, F1 visa, right? And you maintain your lawful non-immigrant status. You want DV lottery, you have to be in status on the date when you can file for your adjustment of status application. You're good. Okay? Now, you fell out of status. If you fell out of status and you did not accumulate unlawful presence, for example, you used to be F1 student J1 and you never received a notice from the United States government saying, you know what, your status is terminated, you have to leave. Notice necessary to start accumulation of unlawful presence time for people who overstay those visas. It means that if you win DV lottery, you will be able to use consular processing for it without the need of a waiver. Come back in a green card holder status. If your only problem is that overstay of that visa. Or perhaps you're someone who may qualify for I-601A waiver. Consider the situation. You have parents who are green card holders. You are an adult married person. Well, they cannot sponsor you. They cannot sponsor you because you're married, you're adult, right? But if you win a DV lottery, you may qualify for I-601A waiver. Go to your home country, get a visa, come back. Asylum pending status. People asking me all the time, shall we play? Well, I'll be honest with you. Chances are you will not be able to collect on the DV lottery, but you should play. Why will you not be able to collect? Because chances are you will not be able to file for adjustment of status. Okay? Even though there is one Board of Immigration Appeals case, people ask me about this all the time. To my knowledge, in New York, it's not being accepted by USCIS, but there is one case that says if you filed for your asylum before the expiration of your lawful non-immigrant status, and it's been pending since then, and now you qualify for adjustment of status, you fell out of status technically for due to no fault of your own. Hence, you should be able to adjust your status before USCIS. Never tried it in New York. I know that in New York people say it was not working, but some other lawyers in some other parts of the United States said it does work. So you know what? Check with your lawyer where you live and see if you have any chance on that. Why not to play? It's free, right? So that's where we stand with the DV lottery. I think it's a great opportunity that many people, of course, will be using and should be using. I'm very glad it has not been terminated. And it's going on now, so don't wait, right? Now I wanted to talk to you a little bit about green card medical exams. A lot of confusion about what to do with this vaccination requirement. Here how it works. If your doctor dated the exam prior to October 1st, 2021, they did not have to ask you and you did not have to present proof of COVID-19 vaccination. This is the clarification we received today from USCIS about this situation. If your doctor signs the exam on or after October 1st, they must comply with COVID-19 vaccination regulations, meaning that they have to ask you about the proof, or if you don't have proof, they will have to state that, and then you can file for exemption if you qualify, right? Exemptions would be religious grounds or moral grounds, or perhaps you're from an area where the vaccines are not routinely available, or you're a child under 21 currently. These are the only exemptions. All right, so that's how it works with the exam. Now, I wanted to mention in the end a little bit about the removal and enforcement priorities to avoid any confusion. You've heard just last week a lot of news, a lot of information about the new DHS enforcement priorities, that you're not going to be targeted just because you don't have status. But it does not mean, guys, that your removal proceedings are going to stop. Okay? It doesn't mean that if you're somebody who, for example, filed for asylum, was not granted it at the time of the interview, you're not going to be placed in removal proceedings. You will be. Okay? You will be. A different issue that a prosecutor may exercise prosecutorial discretion and maybe pause the proceedings or give you some leniency if you have certain circumstances, but you will be. The removal proceedings is still going on. You still have to comply with everything unless your lawyer states that, you know what, your proceedings were administratively close to terminated, right? So just beware that you still have to comply, you still have to watch out for important things in removal proceedings, like charges against you, for example, like deadlines, hearings, like presenting documents, like watch out for pleadings and what your lawyer says you are or not eligible, and filing and not filing during the pleadings. All are very important things in removal proceedings. And again, I'm going to remind you, if you're someone who's been deported many years ago, you have to absolutely examine your notice to appear that was issued for you. If that notice does not have date and time, and now you have a qualifying family member, you may reopen your case and qualify for cancellation of removal in certain situations. So please check with lawyers, your former lawyers, your current lawyers, if you may use this opportunity to reopen your old deportation case. Very important. Now, if you guys have some of your questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Hi, David. What if you are in the United States and seeking asylum but still pending court hearing? Do you still need a passport? For DV lottery, yes, you still need a passport. That situation that you described is not on the list of the exemptions. Still need a passport. Hi, Duke. DV Lottery 2020 selectee, asylum pending interview. I was submitted on B1, B2 and applied before I-94 expired. Yes, I just explained the situation to you about this, that I'm of an opinion in New York, adjustment of status is not going to be available, but you should try, your lawyer should really try. Get that Board of Immigration Appeals case and ask for it. What's the worst thing that can happen? They're going to tell you no, right? I will need a passport to apply DV lottery when on pending asylum. Yeah, you will have to. I mean, you know, you're not, if you're pending asylum, you're not technically a stateless person yet. Stateless person designation occurs when you are you're granted asylum under international law. But even in the United States, I've noticed that this requirement is not followed quite, because, you know, the whole concept in the United States, just so you know, that international law does not get priority over local United States laws. All right. So that's how it goes. I did not see any exemption for people with pending asylum not to use their passport. Can F2 apply for adjustment of status? Absolutely. If you maintain your F2 status throughout all times while you're in the United States and you are in lawful non-immigrant status at the time you can file for adjustment of status, yes. Hi, if Indonesian country are available for DV lottery, Indonesia, you know what? I don't think they're on the list of non-eligible, but you should check at the Department of State website. I think India is not eligible. Yeah, I don't see anything about Indonesia, so I'm, you know, I don't want to mislead you. I would say that you should always verify on the official website for DV lottery. I have it in a section for my community board, and you should read instructions for every region. They publish the countries that are not eligible. It will be the best. All right. Hi, Donna. Since COVID shut down embassy, it's been hard. Been 3 years trying to get my husband here. We need more paperwork. He's passed everything else. Donna, I think the situation is going to change soon because finally, first of all, a federal judge stated that bans were not and should not have been used by consulates, travel bans should not have been used by consulates not to issue visas. That's number one. Number two, starting November, right? United States is opening up for visitors if they're vaccinated, if they have proof of accepted vaccines. So if you need to comply, documentary qualify for the case, you should absolutely do that. And I think that since the United States is going to be reopening its doors, so called, to vaccinated people, you may see those cases moving faster, especially immigrant cases moving faster. Hi, Minimoni. Can I apply to DACA if I was here in 2002, left in 2005, and came back 2009? I was a minor. You may be able to, depending on if you meet all other qualifications, depending on why you left, right? If you left in the threat of deportation, I believe the requirements is that you have to leave, you have to start residing from 2007, if I'm not mistaken, right? From 2007, that's when they check the residence and physical presence on 2012. I would say show your paperwork to lawyers, right? And you're going to take it from there. That's the easiest way to go about this. Can one change his status from pending asylum to employment residency? Is there any possibility? David, usually not, because to do that, you would have to maintain lawful non-immigrant status. Asylum is not that. Asylum pending is not lawful non-immigrant status. And also you have to have lawful entry or being paroled, which for asylum is not a problem if you don't, but it's a huge problem for employment cases. And I would say that you really should check with your attorney, just because there's some local applications of the laws that may be to your benefit. Is that Board of Immigration Appeals case? I keep forgetting its name, but some people say it's working. If you were able to file your asylum before the expiration of your lawful non-immigrant status, and it's been pending since then. So, I would explore any opportunity if I were you, but usually the answer is no. And of course, to get a dependable consultation, you should probably consult with a lawyer in private. Not sure you can review your documents. Sometimes people may be eligible for asylum, but not eligible for anything else in certain situations. Hi, Amar. I did an asylum interview 4 years ago. No response till now. What shall I do? Wow, that's unusual. That's unusual. I know that some people are waiting for 8 months, right, to hear back. But 4 years, that's a little bit too long. I'd say, of course, you should talk to your lawyer about this, and they can start the process of following up with the local asylum office and congressman, and maybe they want to consider lawsuit even if you wish. All right, do we have more questions? Oh, thank you, Nofa. Thank you for thanking me. It's very, very nice to see you guys. Thank you for joining and asking your questions. Hi, Pitan. I live in Kingston, Jamaica, waiting on my immigration interview. Do I have to get vaccinated before I arrived at the embassy for my interview? When did you do your medical exam? We're talking about perhaps your local consulate requires you to be vaccinated to enter the consulate. I'm not aware of such a requirement, but I would strongly recommend that you check. However, the medical exam requirements for the visa changed, right? So the state is that if you're doctor signing the exam on October 1st onward, you have to have the vaccines, right? So, I know that some people don't want to get vaccinated, and I respect that and I understand that. But I think if you are planning on immigrating to the United States, it will be much easier for you if you do get vaccinated, all right? Just because we see that now they ask for vaccine proof in New York, even to go and eat in the restaurants, for example. I would not be surprised if they will ask for the vaccine proof to board the plane and stuff like that. So check with the consulate, because I haven't checked recently as to the consulate entry requirements, but I know for a fact that you will need vaccine if your medical exam has not been done, okay, prior to October 1st. All right. Hi, Donna. My issue is affidavit of support. Yes, affidavit of support can give you a lot of headaches. If you do not have sufficient income on W-2, I simply would tell you to try to find a joint sponsor. Thank God it gotten a little bit better since they abolished the public charge new rule that was implemented by the Trump administration. Yes, because before that it was tough. It was tough. All right. Thank you guys for asking your questions. I hope I answered all of them. And thank you very much for joining. I hope you find this information helpful. I know many of you already have lawyers. What I would recommend you to do is to check with them first. But if you are, generally speaking, if you are eligible from one of those eligible countries, you should play the lottery. You should try your luck and see, because you never know what's going to happen in 2023. Imagine they will finally get rid of unlawful presence bars somehow, right? And then you'll be able to use that won the lottery to get green card in the United States. Can it happen? Of course, anything can happen if you believe in it. So thank you very much, guys, for watching again. Please follow me, join me for the next live. Ask your questions, comment. Even after we are done, you can still ask your questions. I will try to answer them over the weekend. And I hope to see you soon.